What does God say about sin? Genesis chapter 4 verse 7 If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Genesis chapter 12 verse 2 And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Genesis chapter 13 verse 13 But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Genesis chapter 18 verse 20 And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. Genesis chapter 20 verse 6 And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Genesis chapter 20 verse 9 Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. Genesis chapter 22 verse 17 That in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the sea shore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. Genesis chapter 27 verse 12 My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. Genesis chapter 27 verse 30 And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Genesis chapter 27 verse 35 And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. Genesis chapter 27 verse 36 And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob, for he hath supplanted me these 2 times, he took away my birthright, and, behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? Genesis chapter 27 verse 38 And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice, and wept. Genesis chapter 27 verse 41 And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, and Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Genesis chapter 27 verse 42 And these words of Esau her elder son were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Genesis chapter 28 verse 4 And give thee the blessing of Abraham, to thee, and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. Genesis chapter 30 verse 30 For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude, and the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming, and now when shall I provide for mine own house also? Genesis chapter 31 verse 36 And Jacob was wroth, and chode with Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Genesis chapter 32 verse 32 Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Genesis chapter 33 verse 11 Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. Genesis chapter 39 verse 5 And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house, and in the field. Genesis chapter 39 verse 9 There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God? Genesis chapter 39 verse 11 And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. Genesis chapter 42 verse 22 And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. Genesis chapter 44 verse 28. And the one went out from me, and I said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. Genesis chapter 46 verse 30. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. Genesis chapter 49 verse 25. Even by the God of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breasts, and of the womb. Genesis chapter 49 verse 26. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, they shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. Genesis chapter 49 verse 28. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spake unto them, and blessed them, every one according to his blessing he blessed them. Genesis chapter 50 verse 17. So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren, and their sin, for they did unto thee evil, and now, we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him.